So can I welcome to the stage Ricardas Montvila from Mapp Digital.
Excellent, thank you. Hi, everyone. I don't know about you guys, but I've just rediscovered how to iron because last time I ironed about 2 years ago, so that was quite fun. In fact, when I was packing my bag today to come to this presentation, I wasn't sure whether to pack an extra pair of socks or a passport. It all seems a little bit weird. So anyway, let's begin. So today's presentation is about marketing beyond gender and demographics. Quite an interesting topic for myself personally, especially because, there we go. Oh, so I press back. Okay, interesting. Especially because this is Haley over there. I came up with this topic over a year ago, and obviously YMS was cancelled. So when she sent me the agenda, what I'm talking about, I was like, oh, that sounds like a really interesting topic. And I kind of have to rediscover it in the context of the entire last year. So thanks, Haley, for reminding me. And going through this process, I actually kind of ended up going through these different rabbit holes, right? If you look at it, if you look at demographics, gender, age, so I do keep pressing back, right? Okay, thank you. So when you look at this topic through different lenses, it can become quite overwhelming. Who are these individuals that we're actually targeting in the context of this very, very kind of a complicated political environment as well. So for the argument's sake, I'm going to try to avoid politics, although I might kind of lean into it a little bit. The irony is not lost on me, when we're talking about the topic of marketing to various genders, demographics. I do recognize that I'm a white male in mid-30s, presenting to a diverse audience, a fancy title. So I do appreciate that, considering that, majority of the senior roles in marketing are dominated by males, and also majority are white, right? So the irony is not lost on me there. Also, I'm well aware that, ads like this were probably created by a person just like myself over 50 years ago. Just in case you guys are not aware of this, this is a toothpaste especially for women. Because you don't want to lose your man, you have to have a healthy breath. I'm going somewhere, trust me. Also, this is a Generation Z kind of a presentation, and I've recently discovered that skinny jeans is not that kind of stylish anymore. And also, I excessively use emojis in my WhatsApp and Instagram. I think the fact that I used Guardian and Independent to learn about those things probably says a lot about me. So faced with this dilemma, how do I talk about the whole concept behind marketing beyond kind of the demographics, gender and age? I used kind of my fiance as my sounding board. She's a jewelry designer specializing in kind of in jewelry for all types of demographics, right? And that's very, very strong for her. And she faces very similar challenges. How do you find an audience when I'm trying to target pretty much everyone, right? And also considering that, first two customers that she sold this to were males, and followed by, varieties of women. And particularly when it comes to finding an audience, kind of in paid media channels. These are the questions you've been asked for, right? So this is one of the best platforms for finding a new audience. And here the first questions you get asked for, okay, what's the age? What's the gender? Who are you targeting? So the whole idea behind targeting people is actually quite complex if you try to remove those two factors. But the most important thing about this is that people generally don't like kind of being in boxes. Obviously, unless your main target demographic is cats, and I'm kind of assume that it isn't, people don't like people being put in particular boxes, especially when you're trying to kind of engage them and deliver an exceptional customer experience, and yet you're kind of stereotyping them in many ways. And this does cause kind of some stereotypes, right? Gen Z are lazy, young, spoiled, selfish. Women like makeup and gossip, and they're pretty, and they like shopping, and men like football. I hate sport, by the way, and I'm sure many of you can kind of connect yourself to some of these stereotypes. By the way, sometimes it can be obsessive. I do like my hair, and I do like shopping as well. So it's a bit confusing when we start looking at people through these different lenses. And also, just a reminder for you guys that Gen Z is not, it's not a target market, right? It's not another box, right? It's the future. These are the people that are going to be kind of shaping digital marketing in the future, right? So they particularly do not like to be kind of a stereotype by these different things like lazy and whatnot. What else you want to say about them? And also, meet my brother. He's 20. He's a huge inspiration for me. He's my sounding board for my values in many ways, and he's definitely not a stereotype for Generation Z. He's studying to become a conductor at an orchestra. Over summer, he took a lifeguard career, and I'm sure there's many different kind of a Gen Z kind of individuals that just do not adhere to any of these stereotypes. And what's the problem with boxes, right? If you think about these boxes that we create for these individuals, like age, gender, demographics, boxes tend to alienate people, right? Especially when you're thinking about how you're going to kind of deliver this exceptional customer experience. And yet, if you think about individuals through these individual boxes, that can be very, very alienating. And it could be something as simple as this, right? Just a simple form asking, what age are you? Now, I'm not going to tell you which box I'm in, but I'm definitely not 44, which can be quite frustrating. Apologies if some of you are 44. I mean, nothing bad by that. But it could be a bit more extreme as well. For some of you, you might be thinking, well, this is just an innocent ad, a bit of a joke. But I don't like it. I really don't like it. I've never bought it, and I probably, if one of my colleagues would have bought it, I probably would have looked at them a bit differently. And then there's something more extreme. Oh, apologies. I wasn't going to show the brand there. Effectively, it's quite a sexist ad, and I think what it says, let's say you're being very, very smart about being sexist in your ads, by focusing a very, very specific demographic. You really want to target those people, but what does that do to the kind of customers that you're attracting to stores? How are your employees supposed to deal with these individuals? Is that really the environment you want to create for your employees? So what are the options, right? Let's look at the blank canvas, right? So let's say we abandon, for the argument's sake, the age demographic, the gender. So what are we left with when it comes to identifying the ideal customer audience? Well, one of the first things is obviously the values, right? Because values, they don't tend to alienate people, right? And even if they do, if your particular brand values alienate people, that's not that much big of a deal because you can cope with that, right? You can stand behind it. And also, kind of these values connect across varieties of demographics, across varieties of genders, right? So you're generally attracting the right kind of customers. And also, more importantly, you can relate to it better, right? I can't relate to Gen Z, right? Because, as I said, I'm wearing skinny jeans. I do use emojis, all these different things. I can't pretend I'm going to learn these facts about Gen Z and suddenly I can target them better, right? So, however, if you focus on messaging on value, you're going to cut through the different demographics that you're trying to reach. And here's an example of this, right? This is a vegan cafe, again, an article that I read in the Mirror, right? So there was a complaint that in this vegan cafe, they were forced to drink kind of oat-based cappuccino. Now, again, I wasn't there, so I can't tell for sure, but I'm almost certain that they haven't strapped them down with kind of the leather straps to a chair. If anything, if there were straps, they were probably made out of hemp. And if some of you are wondering, well, is this presentation about values? Not quite, right? I'm gonna get to the point too, because values is not something I can really teach you, right? I'm not gonna give you a list of values. That's something that you guys have to own up to, right? And there's a really good quote from Maddie Bregman, who said, if you have to ask yourself, how can we be truly authentic? You're already missing the mark, right? So that is something for you guys. Like, I can't help you here, but be aware that that is very, very important if you're really trying to cut through different demographics and different ages. And the second thing that I really want to talk about is the behavior, right? Because again, behavior is one of the other things that cuts through different demographics, different ages, different genders. And that could be things like, the way customers interact with the brand, the way they shop, the frequency of shopping, what channels they're using. Those are the types of things that will cut through all of this. And if you stick to the values, your targeting is going to be so much more accurate. And one of the best things that behavior allows you to do is to do proper insights. And by insights, you can't do proper insights if you're focusing on these kind of a basic demographics, but insights based on true customer behavior, this is what really matters. And analysts agree, right? So brands that focus on insights, they will grow 7 to 10 times faster than the global economy. And also marketers agree. Those marketers, so we did a study with Forrester recently, so those marketers that have improved their customer analytics, improved their customer data management, those are the ones that have seen the most significant improvement in actually understanding the customers. So what does great or exceptional customer experience actually mean? Well, exceptional customer experience it's not impossible to achieve through digital channels, but it's possible. And if you get it extremely right, which is kind of being able to orchestrate those experiences across these varieties of different channels, you're able to grow faster than competitors. You're also able to stay in the consumer's mind next time they're looking to make a purchase, right? And that means that cost becomes less of a factor, right? You're the first brand they will think about. And also able to start predicting customer behavior before they're going to complete the action, which ultimately results in higher revenue. But this comes from a very careful orchestration across these different channels, whether that's e-commerce, CRM, paid media, kind of analytics. But many brands do get it terribly wrong, right? So these different kind of channels do sit in silos. And this results in this subpar or poor customer experience, which means that not only you're kind of missing out on some of the revenue, you're also creating significant internal friction, right? So who owns the customer? Who decides which customers are we actually kind of going after, and who has the kind of the centralized source of truth about your customer behavior? It is impossible to truly personalize, right? Otherwise you just personalize your individual touch points and channels. That's not a customer experience, that's just kind of optimizing that one channel. And also, it does prevent you from predicting what customers are going to do next. Predicting behavior in one channel is great, but it doesn't really say anything about the customer behavior, which ultimately leads to decreased profit and also significant wastage in marketing budget. And the reason this is important is because if you're continuously focusing on the individual channels, kind of through and kind of leveraging customer behavior, you will continuously see and get average results. And let me explain this. Let's take a very simple kind of e-commerce scenario, right, where you have this funnel where customers discover you, they visit the website, look at the category, look at the product, maybe add to basket. There's so many different opportunities to optimize this particular journey. Even things like abandoned basket, there's so many ways of slicing and dicing it. However, if you will be kind of focusing on doing things like just optimizing a time for that specific message without looking at the customer previous behavior, the transactions, the other customers, you're effectively optimizing an average performance, and that's all you're going to keep on doing. And we at Mapp strongly believe that if you're continuously focused on averages, or if you market based on averages and these boxes, you'll continuously get average results, which is obviously something that nobody wants. And we call this insight-led customer experience, right? So we break down through the e-commerce, CRM, earned media, paid media, analytics, and we deliver a unified experience, for segmentation, CDP, personalization, orchestration, and insights. And effectively, the way it works is that we unify the customer data, for things like the traits, the behavior, the predictions about how customers work. We unify the identities across different channels. And then we leverage insights. Every single thing that you do is kind of fueled by insights, things like AI and predicting what customers are going to do next. And then we combine the content with the engagement to orchestrate this across these different channels. That's what creates exceptional customer experience. And analysts agree. Mapp Cloud is a solid platform for marketers that wants to raise the game with customer insights. And if you get this right, again, you can leverage AI to do things like, identify the best offer or predict how much a customer is going to spend. That's got nothing to do with age or demographics, right? That's just a predicting based on their current behavior of how much they're going to spend, and then improving those experiences. Or predicting likelihood to convert. That could change the way that you decide whether to incentivize or not to incentivize a particular customer. And also, answer very specific marketing questions. What does actually drive the average basket increase during the consecutive purchases, and I can tell you for sure, it's definitely not gender or demographics. What is the expected kind of behavior from the social media followers, right? And if they suddenly underperform on the work as well, how can we able to address that and perhaps target them with different messages? And also, kind of okay, so fair enough, customers about to churn, but what's the value of those customers that are about to churn? And also, what role does individual channel play in actually converting a certain type of customer? And also, kind of understanding whether your current kind of activities are actually driving this long-term customer engagement, and then ultimately activating those insights through digital touch points. And again, those touch points could be anything, from email, web push, direct mail, SMS, and whatnot. And then ultimately automating all of these insights, not automating your average, but actually automating these insight-led customer experiences through a variety of automations. So thank you so much. Please visit our stand. Also, we have a bunch of collateral. If you guys want to take a screenshot of this, there's some really, really valuable links that I suggested you guys interact with. And also, in case you know someone, we're actively hiring in London and other regions as well. So do reach out to us. And there's a QR code if you guys want to scan it. It's for our 100 digital marketing tactics to enhance customer experience. Thank you so much.